Sweet. Just as usual, in the chat room, just give me a thumbs up if audio and visual is doing really well. Mark, thanks for coming. Rion, Mr. Cole, excuse me, Scott. Mark, you work at a university and they just announced they're moving all classes online for 2 to 3 weeks. Wow. Cool. Good. You get to work from home in your underwear then. It is 1 degree in Canada right now. Ouch. That sucks, Blair. Mikhail, thank you for coming from Germany. We got Frederick, Mr. Ed. First time. Thank you for coming, Mr. Ed. Sweet. Oh, the faculty still has to come in, huh? Just the students get to stay home, huh, Mark? Oh, that sucks. Oh, well. Okay. So today, I'll admit, I didn't really have much planned, so I figured we just kind of wing it a little bit. But on something really cool happened during the hangout on Friday, and that is that I kind of built a really cool menu. And I plan on shipping a template for it. And while building it, I thought of a couple features I probably need to add to Foundation, a couple new settings just to tweak some things that I'll show you. But yeah, we got a cool new menu that's coming up. It's not a stack, it's just a template. It'll be fun. I'll build it all from scratch for you today, so we can kind of get, I think it's really good to see the mindset of how I built it, right? Because I built this completely new menu that, out of the stacks we already have, just to kind of show you the power of what we have now in Foundation 6 with these swatches, right? So we really have a lot of power to build things that, don't even exist right now. And it's really, really cool. And today, it's going to really show us the power of that. Then next up, we're going to look at Columnist 2. And just really quick, it was a 2.0 update. It was a free update to everyone out there in the world. So if you already own Columnist, you got a free update. And one of the cool things, it has a new Columnist swatch, right? So we'll play around with that too. And then I'm assuming we're going to have some time, and we can answer some questions and probably do some more demos and do whatever we want. So cool. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Let me go ahead and get my screen shared here. Okay. Let's Rapid Weaver going. Okay. I remember to change my screen resolution this time. So, yeah. Cool. It's going to be a little bit bigger now. Actually, you know what? Hold on one second. I'm going to shrink me up a little bit. Hold on one second. I had to tweak some settings in my project, and that's not so good. Hold on. Okay, that's good. There we go. Just get a little bit more screen real estate. Okay. So let's look at, first off, I'll show you the actual nav menu, okay, that we're going to do. Hold on, let me pause that. Okay. So first we're going to show you the menu, okay, that we're going to build. It's right here. If you notice, it's actually quite hard to see the menu in edit mode, which is part of some of the tweaks I need to make probably before I ship this template out so that it's a little easier for you guys to see. Okay, but let's go ahead and preview this page. And it's just over here, right? So if you see, it's just this, by default, it's some icons. When you hover over it, we have some menus and some links that we can, click on to get to various pages, right? and it's just fixed, right? So I think this one we made it so it hides on small, and then you can build some other navigation option on small, or you can keep it. I don't know, but yeah. So we just made it so you know, thought it was really nice. So let's go ahead and build this. Is there icons? Yes, those are icons. So we're going to build this right now. So you'll see how I built it. And oh, move the screen. You can't see it. Oh, shoot. My bad. I need to move it over here. There we go. I was covering it. What, you guys wanted to see the menu? You were looking at my beautiful face. Like, come on, who wants to see this menu when you can look at me? Jesus. Okay, sorry about that. I should add like some sort of indicator on my screen. I should think of that, like some sort of indicator that like, hey, don't go past this part of the screen when I'm doing a screencast. Okay. Anyway, so here it is. So we can, as you see here now, I hover over it. There's a bunch of icons, and when I hover over it, it kind of moves out. It animates out, and you have all your menu there. So pretty cool. Okay. Sorry about that. So let's build this from scratch. First thing I'm going to build, actually, we're going to start on a completely new page. So I'm going to start a new page. Oops, I didn't want a new project. I wanted a new page. Okay. And we're just going to go straight up completely new. Okay. I might reference that page just from time to time to make sure I'm doing things the same, right? Okay. Okay, yeah. Okay, I'm actually going to try not to reference the other page, and I'm going to try to build it straight out so I can struggle and go through the entire process of building this new. Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm actually going to start off with a container. Okay. So let's just throw a container on the page. And I do have to say I tried a couple times to use an actual menu stack. And you could do that, but I'm actually just going to manually build out something just using columns. Okay. And so I'm going to actually start off with using Columns Pro. Oops. Columns Pro inside the container. Hello. Why doesn't that drag in there? There it goes. Okay. So here we have Columns Pro inside of the container. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this window so that it's, you guys can, I'm going to resize my window really quick just so make sure that the entire window is always in your view. There we go. Cool. Okay. So I have Columns Pro, and what I'm going to do is we're going to just do, we're going to do 2 columns, and let's go ahead and add our icon into the first column. And we're going to make that an SVG. So I'm just going to go ahead and add an SVG in there. And we're going to scale this to, I don't know, 50 pixels, let's say. Okay, 50 pixels. That's good. And then over here in the second column, okay, we're going to want our menu item. Okay. So this isn't necessarily using a menu. We're kind of building a menu just by, building this layout out. And I'm actually going to use a header stack. Pink ones. Where's the pink? Here it is, pink. Header. Okay. And inside this header, I'm actually just going to use we're going to use a span. And we're going to call this menu item. Okay. So let's go ahead and preview that really quick. So now we have a apple and a menu item. That's obviously not what we want in terms of the layout, right? And that SVG is way too big. We need to make that smaller. 30. Okay. So column 1 here, we don't want this to be 12. We want that to shrink to content. So we want it to shrink down to the size of the SVG file. And then our header is instead of 12, we're going to set that to be auto. Okay, so our column so the first column, if you notice here, we're shrinking that column down to the size of the content. And then in our second column, we are going to fill up the rest of the space. Okay, pretty simple. Cool. Now another thing we're going to want to do is we need to center this menu item, right? So in order to do that, we're going to go into Columns Pro and set that to be vertical align middle. Oops, I opened it in Safari, but that did the job. Okay, and we maybe we want to add a little bit of, let's just add some padding. That's a little bit much padding, but we'll go with it for right now. Okay. So cool. So that kind of gives us the layout that we want. And all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste that really quick. Okay. So now I have my thing a couple times. You know, we probably want to have padding, vertical padding on each of these as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and change all of those to be vertical padding. Okay. It's a little much. We can adjust that later. Okay. So that gives us this. But if you notice, this is just a generic layout across the entire thing. Let's now create that bar, right? That goes the entire height of the browser. Okay. So that we're going to do this in a container. So we're going to do this. Let's add a class to this guy. We'll call it side nav. Okay. So down over here, where's my zoom? There it is. Okay, I'm giving the container a custom class of side nav. And just for fun, I'm actually going to give the HTML tag instead of a div. I'm going to give it a nav tag because this is going to be our navigation on the page. So it just kind of gives browsers and screen readers and whatnot indication that whatever is inside of here is actually navigation. Okay, so we're going to do that inside of a container as well. For sizing, I'm actually going to set this to be auto. I don't want it to be forced to be full width, so I'm going to set that to be auto. Okay. Okay, so now let's add some swatches. I'm going to go ahead and do the height stack. And what we want is we're going to set the height to, what was it? Side nav. Okay. And we're going to do height setup as simple, and we're going to do full browser height. Okay. So now this is going to be full browser height, and let's also add a background color. Okay. So let's do background color. We're also going to do side nav over here. And we're going to do a background color, and let's just leave it at gray. It's fine. Okay. So now let's go ahead and preview this. And if you notice, voila, okay, we have, it is full browser height, and but the old problem is it goes full width, right? So now what we need to do is we need to position this, yes, we do need to position it, right? So because we want to make sure that this navigation is fixed to the side, no matter if you scroll up and down the page, we want this bad boy to be fixed, right? So we can do that just with a position swatch. So we're going to do position. And we're going to do parent. No, we're going to do browser, relative to browser. And we're going to do top 0, left 0. Okay. And, I need to put my class side nav. Boom. Boom. And you'll notice just by doing the position, the width now becomes, static, right? Or it becomes, it constrains, it no longer goes full width. Okay. So cool. That works. So Sweet. We're getting really close, actually, right? Now the tricky part. Now for the tricky part, okay? And this has to do with when we want to start hovering over this, right? So we want to, by default, we only want to show the icons. And then when when we hover over it, we want it to actually go out and show everything, correct? Okay, so how do we do that? So you might want to think, okay, well, let's just, let's go ahead and navigate the width. We'll change the width of the container on hover. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. So let's add a width swatch. Width. And let's say, let's do side nav. And let's give it a width. We want to do on hover, right? So on hover, okay, we want to set a static width of, let's do 64 pixels. I'm sure we'll probably have to tweak that. All right, but let's do that. So now when we hover over side nav, it's going to be 60. Actually, no, we want the opposite. Hold on. We want, when it's not hovered, we want it to be 64 pixels. And this, at this point, we'll now see the problem in edit mode because I'm setting container to have a width of 64 pixels. You'll notice that in edit mode, it tries to make it 64 pixels, which now makes it kind of hard to see, right? So let's go for 80 pixels. I think that 80 pixels is what we want. Well, let's test that. Let's see if 80 pixels. Oh, wow. Okay. That's interesting. If you notice when I made the container 80 pixels, it caused the menu items to go underneath the icons. And we don't want that. We want just we want just the icons. So what can we do there? So there's a trick here. And what we want, okay, is we want to create, if you notice here, we added columns, okay? And what we need to do is we need to target and give a width to these columns, okay? So what I can do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select all of these. Remember, multi-select in Stacks 4 allows us to add classes to multiple things at the same time, okay? So I selected all of those columns, and let's go ahead and add a class to this. We'll just call it side dash item. Okay, let's do side item. Okay, or no, we'll be descriptive. Menu item, side menu item. Okay, so that column represents side menu item. Okay, cool. And so now that class is on all of these, right? So if I unclick, just to show you that it's Stacks added that class to everything. So multi-select for the win. Thank you, Isaiah. Cool. So now let's go ahead and add actually here, I'm going to hijack this. No, we'll add a new one. Let's do another width. Okay. And here we're going to target the side dash menu dash item. Oops. Okay. And width setup, I'm going to set this to be 192 pixels. Okay. So side menu item is set to be 192 pixels. And then the width of the actual sidebar, the container, is going to be 5 rem, okay, or 80 pixels. Let's go ahead and preview that. Boom! Look at that. Okay, so now we're getting there, right? We don't have the hover effect yet, but if you notice, we notice it a little bit. I need to make this a little bit smaller. But if we make the width of this instead of 80, let's do 64. Boom. Okay, so look at that. That is really cool, right? So we have our effect now. We have the text is there, but it's hidden, okay, because we have made the container. So remember this container here, which is the side nav. We've made this a width of 64 pixels. Yet the width of the content within it is 192 pixels. Okay. So now what we're going to do is on hover, we're going to add one more swatch. When we hover over container, we're going to animate that and we're going to make the width 192 pixels. So let's go ahead and add another width swatch. I'll just copy paste this one actually. Copy paste that. And then we're going to say, so side nav on hover, we're going to make that 192 pixels, which is again the same size as the menu items. Okay, let's preview that. Boom! Look at that. Okay, so now when I hover over it, I have all my menu items. Okay, wow, that is cool. Now that animation isn't too great, right? We can definitely make that animation a lot better. So let's go ahead. We have the power to do that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and let's add a transition swatch. And we're going to add this to side nav. Okay. And we're going to make the speed. I'm going to change the speed to like, let's do like 400 milliseconds. And that's it. Okay. So now we're adding a transition. So what the transition swatch does is because we have a size of 80 pixels normally, and then when we hover over it, we're changing it to 192 pixels, right? So this transition, essentially, when it watches for any changes in style values, right? So when you change the width here, it's going to nicely animate that width. That's exactly what this transition swatch does. Okay, let's preview this, and when we hover over it, boom. We have a nice transition. That is really cool. Now, obviously, these aren't made links yet, but we can obviously do that, right? So if we were to go into these stacks like this one right here. Now, one thing I do have to say, let me go ahead and okay, I'm going to give you a quick little tip that I actually saw Scott. Well, I have to give Scott a hat tip for this one. You know, he wanted to quickly disable a swatch in edit mode to do something. So like right now, I want to disable this width swatch. And all this I saw Scott do yesterday, I was helping him out with something, is he just added like a -X to the class, which obviously changes the class for that swatch. Now temporarily, obviously. And that will fix things for us here in edit mode. So thanks, Scott. That was I love super simple tips like that. So really cool. Okay. So something I glossed over is the header stack. If you notice this header stack, I made it, you can do other things rather than just headers with the header stack. If you look at the options here, can you see that? Yeah. Okay. You'll notice that we have, we can make it all the various headers, but you can also make it a few other things. You can actually use it, make it as a paragraph. You can make it a span. Now, I don't recommend you use this for multiple paragraphs. That's what the text stack is for. But if you just want like a single sentence or, you know, a single piece of text on the page that isn't, you don't want to make it a header, maybe for SEO reasons, right? You can use a paragraph or span. Okay. Figure caption is if you're, you know, that's a good thing if you want to like have a caption on an image. It'll look like normal text on the page. It doesn't do any special styling, but it's kind of like for accessibility reasons and SEO reasons that, you know, fig caption could be a good thing. So I just use span inline text, mostly because I didn't want a paragraph, because if you use a paragraph, by default, paragraphs will have a margin on the bottom, and I didn't want margins here. So I just made it a span. Okay. So cool stuff there. And then if I want to add a link to this menu item, I can do that. So I can add a link. Then you would navigate here and choose your link or put in your URL to where this menu item would actually go to, right? Where this menu item would navigate to. So anyway, that, as we have it, is how we do menu items, right? Now you could do a few things, like if you wanted to tweak the spacing here, or if you wanted to tweak the colors of the menus and stuff like that, you could do all that, and you can make swatches for those as well, right? But and you wouldn't use a menu swatch because we're not using a menu stack, so you'd have to use like the text color swatch, so you can customize the text colors and the link colors and stuff like that, right? Because we built a menu using normal stacks, right? And to add new menu items, you would just simply, copy and paste these column layouts for all the various menu items that you want, right? So there we go. Let me, I've been ignoring the chat room. Let me look at that really quick. Question, when we get updates. Okay, let's handle. I'm looking for questions about this particular thing right now. Okay, it looks like you guys are helping each other in the chat room. So cool. Sweet. Hope you guys liked that template. That was a really cool one. I'm really happy with that. Actually, I'm going to go back to my implementation I did on Friday, and I'll see how close I got. I did do a special padding and I did do some padding and margin adjustments when I did this on Friday. But yeah, pretty much the same thing. Oh, I did a text. Okay, so here I did a text color swatch, and then a couple paddings and margins just to tweak the padding and margin a little bit. So yeah, that pretty much everything else is probably looks exactly the same. Sweet. Oh, how can you add content to the page now? That is a great question because that's very important. Excellent. Fabulous question. Thank you for asking that because I would have totally forgot. Because this is challenging now, right? Because let's go ahead and add some content to this page. It's 12 o'clock. Okay. Thank you for asking that, Rion. I appreciate that. I'm going to go ahead and add some content. Let's add a container. And let's add a one column. And then we'll add some text. Okay. Oops. Hold on. Okay. So if you look at this, there's a problem. Okay. We have a problem. Houston, we have a problem. My menu is on top of my content. Now that is kind of obvious. Well, it could be obvious to you, but because we have the position swatch, because this menu is, let's go ahead and add a lot of text to the page. Okay. I just want to be able to scroll, right? Okay. Let's see. Okay. So because this menu is fixed, if you notice as I scroll down the page, it doesn't move, right? It's always there. But we don't want the content to be behind it. What the heck? That is not cool, right? So what can we do? What we can do is I'm going to create like a false gutter to my content. Okay. So what I'm going to do is there's probably multiple ways that we could do that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Columns Pro. Where's Columns Pro? Orange. Here we go. Columns Pro. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a 2-column layout inside Columns Pro, where the first column is magically the width of this, right? So column 1 here is we're going to make that. We're going to go into, now the reason I use Columns Pro is because now I could use a swatch, but I'm going to just use the advanced settings straight up right here inside Columns Pro. And I'm going to make it, well, since that is static everywhere, well, actually on small, we want it to be 0. Or you could use visibility probably, right? Because, let's see, show for medium and large. Because one thing I didn't do here is in this container, I wanted to hide this menu on mobile, right? So what I would do is inside visibility, I would just say hide for small only. Where is hide for small only? Hide for small only. There it is. Okay. And then down here inside this column, we're going to make it 80 pixels. Okay. So we're going to make it 80 pixels on medium and large. And then 0 pixels, and we're going to hide it on mobile. Okay. And now I'm going to add a second column. In this column, we're going to make it auto, just auto, and that's it. We're going to leave everything else the same, okay, because we want to show it. And we're going to move all of our content. Whoops. I'm going to take this container. We're going to move all of it inside of the second column. So basically, I'm creating a little mini 2-column layout, okay, where this first column is fixed width. Now, what this happens is, if you notice when I hover over it, the menu goes over the content, but I'm okay with that, right? I'm okay with that. I think that that's okay, right? Yeah, there we go. And if we scroll down, we'll see that the menu is fixed. So again, we created a phony kind of 2-column layout where column 1, okay, where column 1 is purely, has no content. It's purely invisible space, right? Kind of below to kind of move the content over. Unless, if we preview this in the browser and we go down to mobile size, we'll see that it's gone. The menu's gone. The first column is now gone, right? So yeah, we're good. Sweet. Just notice on mobile, the size of header H3s, the default value is quite small, actually. Maybe too small? Interesting. I'll have to look into that. Cool. Thank you for that question, Rion. That is a very important piece of this puzzle. And thank you for asking that, because I almost forgot. So thank you very much. Out of curiosity, could the built-in WrapWeaver menu be customized like this? Otherwise, the menu items would be linked to their pages, correct? Yes. So it's possible we could try to manipulate one of the menus to do this. I just thought this was going to be easier, and it gives us more flexibility because we have the column layouts and stuff like that. So yes, what you would do is inside this Jody is you would basically go like, this is the first one, right? So if I were to edit this, let's say this is home, right? And then I go to the setting for this, and I would go and link that to the home page, right? So you're kind of manually building your links here, right? So then this, when you click on this then goes to your home page, right? So you are manually building out your menu, but it works, right? And you know, obviously for a menu like this, it's going to be small, right? You want it to be kind of small. You don't want a ton of these. So anyway, I think this is a really great menu. I like it. It'll I'm gonna probably polish it up a little bit, and then it'll be shipped as a part of the free templates. Is it possible to make an F6 button trigger a limelight light box? Okay, those are outside of the context of this for right now. Possible to put content in the template? Yes, I will. I'll put this in the template. I'll put this entire thing. So we'll have the columns and all that stuff inside the template. Okay, cool. Let's move on. Let's go ahead and look at some other new stuff here. I think I already had it on this page. Oh well, I don't. Here, I'll show you one thing that I've been working on. This is like bleeding edge stuff here. I'm gonna go ahead here. Let's do a max width on this really quick. All right. This little eyeball doodad. I've been working on a new stack called Drift, and well, it's not new actually. It's probably like a year old, to be honest. But here, let me make it a little bit more subtle. And Drift, whatever content you put into it, it'll kind of animate stuff on scroll, right? So here, let's make it how I would do it. You know, if we did this. Maybe 50 is a little much. Okay, so this is as you scroll down the page, that's probably difficult for you to see over the live stream because probably the stutter or whatnot. But it's scrolling as I move the page, right? It was more apparent when I had more drastic values, right? So yeah, really cool. It works better actually inside Safari. For some reason, Repriever Preview is a little jumpy. So yeah, it's just the ability, and you can rotate stuff. So if, like, we did, I don't like 90. You can rotate on scroll. You can do all kinds of stuff. And it's really smooth. It's pretty cool. It's actually what builds out. I use this a few places on Weaver Space. I have for it, so it's existed for probably about a year now. But I just need to polish up the settings a little bit, make it a little bit more user friendly. Because right now it's very raw. So yeah, that'll probably be the next new stack that I release. Will probably be Drift. And I love the icon, but I won't leak the icon to you right now. It's really cool, very beautiful. Next thing I wanted to show you, which is available to you right now, and that is the new Columnist stack. Okay, so Columnist, if we just add that to our page right here, Columnist has been around for a while, and I completely revamped it. One of the big things now is it uses Markdown, so the text within it uses Markdown, which is, I think, the best way to go. And then you can go ahead and configure how many columns you want, right? So you can preview the columns inside edit mode or not. And then you can define, it's kind of like gives you a newspaper layout, right? So it kind of gives you a newspaper layout right on your blog or wherever, right? So basically what you do is you define how many columns you would like, a maximum number of columns, okay? And then you give it a minimum width. So here in this particular layout, I want a minimum width of 200 pixels for each column and a maximum of 3 columns, right? So what this is cool is just with those settings, those particular settings, it's smart enough to know, damn browser cache, it's smart enough to know, because I'm setting a minimum column width, how many columns to actually build for you automatically on the fly, right? So I said I wanted a minimum 200 pixels with a maximum of 3 columns, right? So this gives us a 3-column layout. But if I go smaller, it knows that, hey, I can't fit 3 columns and still have them be at least 200 pixels wide. So it transforms automatically to a 2-column layout, right? And then obviously on mobile, it can go all the way down to 1, right? So yeah, that's Columnist. You can define the gap between the text. You can have, as you see, these little dividers. You can style that divider. Really, really cool. It also does list cards, which is quite an interesting feature. Here, I'll quickly show you what list cards does. If we just do a bullet list here, okay. Boop. All right. If you notice what that does is it kind of creates out of our list a little kind of grid of blocks, right? And if we let's make some of these bigger. There we go. So it kind of creates these floating blocks, that kind of float within the columns and whatnot. So it's a nice layout. And what's really cool is this is all done dynamically. It'll work great within Total CMS as well. So if you put in, for your blog content, just put in the CMS macro directly into here. Boom, you're golden. Really, really cool stuff. Now, if that wasn't cool enough, what you'll notice is now, if you have Foundation 6, let me shrink that. We now have a Columnist swatch. Ta-da! So here inside, what's kind of cool is it kind of gives you a little preview directly inside the swatch. So you can go inside this Columnist. You can give it go ahead and give it a class, right? So let's target all, let's call it newspaper dash layout. Okay, so we're going to call this newspaper layout, and let's do 3 columns, minimum width to it. We'll just keep the default, right? 3 columns here. We'll do 4 columns. Why not? Minimum of 200 pixels, column gap of 24. That's fine. Okay. And then what we do is we can then go to any of these, and I just go ahead and paste that class inside my text stack. Okay. And if we preview that, it should, there it goes. Right. All right. Let's go ahead and make that a little bit bigger or more text. Right. So let's just do this. Okay. So there we go. I have my newspaper layout using a text stack. As you see, it kind of makes everything flow within it. Even headers kind of flow within it, right? And we have that purely by adding a class now to any text content area. Very cool. I really like Columnist. I think the Columnist swatch is a really slick new tool to have in your bundle. And as well, you can use this. You know, I know a lot of people have asked me already, can this work with Total CMS? And I've said this a couple times. Yes, this swatch was perfect. Just add a class to a layout or something like that inside of anywhere, and it will work. So pretty cool. Columnist. Sweet. Okay, that was everything I wanted to go over. Let's go ahead and let me peruse through some questions. So Davide asked, oh, you retracted it. But it's okay. I'll answer your question. Is Columnist your approach to masonry layouts? No. Columnist is not a masonry layout at all. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Well, I remember your question, Davide, and I will answer it. You wanted to launch a Limelight from a button stack. Okay. Now I don't have Limelight, docs in front of me or memorized, but I know it's possible. And let me show you how you would do it. And then you can take it the last 5% of the way and figure out what you need to get from Limelight to get it done. Okay. So if we go to buttons, so what you want is a button stack. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and add a button stack to the page. Okay. And there is a setting in here that is added specifically to integrate with various things. Okay. So if we want to integrate with Limelight, we just simply go add custom attribute. And then inside here, you can add the data name and the value. Okay. So Limelight, I'm pretty sure it requires a data attribute. So just get maybe it's data-limelight, and then you put the Limelight ID or something like that inside of it. And that's how you would do it, right? So right here inside the button, there's add custom attribute. You add the attribute name and value. Pretty simple. Oh, and then you want to apply a custom label to the button when the Limelight is active. That I don't believe is possible right now. I don't want to say it's impossible, but I'd have to think about that one. So launching the Limelight's easy, right? It's just this custom attribute. You'd have to figure out what that attribute is for Limelight, but I'm 99% sure that's exactly what you would need for Limelight. So yeah. As for customizing the button in terms of knowing when it's open or not yet. I had mentioned previously about implementing some sort of like toggle, class toggler. I think that would be a really cool thing. And I'm seeing a lot of people request something of that nature. So I think that would be a good thing to have. I don't know when I'll implement that. It is on the top of my list though of things, so that you click or hover, probably just click. If you click on something, you can toggle the class on and off of something else or itself. That's something that I'm working on, and we'll see. Okay. I'd love to see. Oh yeah, Andrew. Okay, so you'd love to see the base URL macro demonstrated. Okay, we could do that. Okay, so let me explain what Andrew is doing. Andrew is working on a website for a customer, okay, or a friend, and he is building that on a subdomain. Let's say sandbox.domain.com, right? And he is using warehoused images. So the reason he's doing, using warehouse for, obvious reasons. Some people want to warehouse their images. And what he's doing is he's putting the URL to those images. Those images are currently on the subdomain, right? The sandbox or the test subdomain. But when the site goes live, it would kind of be a pain in the ass to go ahead and find every single warehoused image and then change the URL so that it references the new production domain, right? So how can we make that better? Okay. So inside RapidWeaver, this is what I can do is here. Let me go to transmit. Let me find an image that's on my server, and we'll play with it. I have to have an image here. There's all SVGs. That's fine. Or I'll just upload one really quick. Okay. There it is. Where'd it go? Okay. Let me copy the URL to that. Okay. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and add a picture stack to the page. And we're going to warehouse this image URL. I'm going to plop in let me make sure that's right. Okay. So here I have sandbox.joroku.net/small. Okay. And there's the image. Okay. And if we preview that, we'll see that voila, there is my image. Okay. Cool. But I want to use, so RapidWeaver has this thing called macros, and let's go ahead. Actually, instead of doing it on it, I mean, we could do it on the image too, but for fun, I'm just going to go ahead and add this into here. Okay. So we have a text stack. I'm going to do that. Now, RapidWeaver has some macros that we can use, and I'm going to put it in here. It's called base URL. And then what you do is you put in the path to the image after that. Okay. So essentially, base URL should resolve the web address that is configured inside your RapidWeaver project. Okay. Now, base URL will not resolve inside edit mode, but it should resolve inside. Whoops, I clicked the wrong keyboard shortcut. It should resolve. Oh, it doesn't. Interesting. Hold on. Let me make this. What did I do wrong? Let's center this so we can see it. Base URL. Did I give you the wrong macro, Andrew? Oh man, I'm a bastard. I swear it's base URL. Maybe it's URL. Hold on, let me make sure that I have the URL set in this project. I'm pretty sure I do. Oh, sandbox.joroku.net. Interesting. Well, that used to work. All right, let me go ahead and verify this URL really quick. All right, you guys are going to see me do some terminal wizardry really quick. Base URL is definitely a macro. As you see, I use it in a lot of my stacks. Wonder if that, let's search for base URL. I believe base URL is the stacks API, not the RapidWeaver one. It's possible. I'm pretty sure it's, or is it? It could be this. Yeah, it's probably this now. Shoot. Sorry, Andrew. I steered you wrong for a little bit. I think it's base underscore URL. I got mixed up with the stacks version of that macro. Voila. That's what it is. Okay. So, okay. If you notice also, you don't need a slash because the base URL will put a slash in there. So we have base URL percent base, or let me zoom in on this so you guys can see that, right? So here's base URL percent, and then the rest of the path to the image. Now you could have this in a folder. It could be slash, images slash name of the image, right? Or whatever. But yeah, so there we go. That now resolves the correct URL. Okay. And if we wanted to, now I can take this, this and put this inside my resource, my warehouse image. Now, when I put this inside the warehouse image, okay, so when I put it inside here, okay, it will not work inside edit mode. So a little FYI, that base URL macro will not work in edit mode, but it should still work in preview, and it does. Okay, so if you use those macros, and that means, in the future, if you move this to a different domain, now all I need to do is once I edit the web address in my project settings, that macro will get updated everywhere throughout the entire project with the new website address. Okay, that's pretty cool. Okay, one potentially big side effect though is, again, the image will not display inside edit mode. So, cool. For anyone still on HTTP but moving to HTTPS, this is golden. Yes. Yeah. So that could be a big thing, using the base URL macro instead. Yeah. So yeah, I hope that helped you guys out. It should work throughout anywhere inside RapidWeaver, since it is a RapidWeaver macro. Yeah, cool. Let's see. Did I miss any other questions? Blair had a question, I think. Can you apply the swatches for the menu container to each individual menu item so that they expand on hover? So yes. But then you'd have to have each one would have to be its own specific container, right? So right now I had the container was fixed. Essentially, you would need to, that'd be a slightly different setup. You'd have to have more containers on there so that when you hovered over a menu container, it would only animate that one, right? So yeah, that's possible. But I quite like the way I had done it. But yes, that could be possible, Blair. Is there a list of usable macros anywhere? So these macros, are there a list of macros? That's a good question. Probably. Let's bring up Google really quick. It's probably, these are part of the theme SDK. So I would think that some of them could be documented on here. Is there a wiki? No. Oh, here. Oh yeah. So here, if this is open source, it's the theme SDK for RapidWeaver. I'll put this link in the chat really quick. But this yeah, this has everything. So at least, well, to my knowledge. So the banner path, that's the banner images that you put inside. Some themes support banners. Actually, this doesn't list all of them. It has banner image, banner path, toolbar, and navigation. It doesn't list base URL. Theme syntax. What's in here? Some of these you really probably shouldn't be using, to be honest with you. Here, site title and site slogan could be useful. The site logo, you shouldn't use content. Sidebar title, sidebar, you probably don't want to use that. Base URL, here's base URL. Last published, email. Oh, that's the email inside the project settings. So yeah, so there you can find a lot of the a lot of those macros here. A lot of, again, these macros are purposely made for themes. So a lot of these you probably shouldn't be using. Like user header, you probably shouldn't be messing around with that, or style variations, or user styles, or user JavaScript. Those are really things that's really in the theme. The theme's job there. But that some of these other ones are a little more lighthearted, like base URL is definitely probably the most useful one. So anyway, yeah. Okay, cool. I think that answered everyone's questions. Cool. You know what, Blair? I'll play around with that idea. Actually, why not? Here, let's play around now. If we want to try to play around and make this thing hoverable on a per menu item basis, why not? Let's get her done. Okay, let's try it. So I'm going to add this really quick so we can get that full width. So essentially what we want is, okay. So I'd have a container. Sorry, I need to think about this really quick for a second. Okay, so we have a container. This container that we have now, it can't be position fixed. All right, let's turn that off. Okay. But, all right. Okay, I think I have a plan now. Okay, so we're going to have another container. All right, and I'm going to change this position swatch to be side nav wrapper. Okay, and we're going to put that side nav wrapper here. And then we're going to have a container inside of that. And then that height that I did, that is going to be on side nav wrapper. As well. All right. Let's preview that really quick. Okay. That kind of does it. Let's see. On this container here, that on the side nav wrapper. Here, let's do this. I'm going to put that as the title. Here, and then here. Here's a good tip. If you start building out something, take your classes and put them in the title element as well. And then that'll kind of help you, especially when I'm talking about this. We have a side nav wrapper, the side nav, and then here we have a side menu item. right? Okay. All right. So in the side nav wrapper, I want this to be size auto. Let's see what that does. Okay. So that docks it on the top, right? But what we want now is we want that hover effect now on this. Okay. So I think if we did that, the width on that now. Okay. So now we have an individual menu item. Okay. At this point, we could just take this layout and copy it multiple times. Okay. And preview that. And now we have, if I want to change the hover. Oh, interesting. Oh, I want to change the, hold on. Shh. Okay. Right now it's when I hover over, I need to change the hover to be the menu item. That's right. Okay. So we need to do, okay. So here we have, so we're going to have the width of the menu item. So we're going to change this to be side menu item. I don't need any side nav hovers. This one I need to be side menu item on hover is 192. And then I need to change the transition from side nav to be side menu item. Yes. Oh, almost. Interesting. Oh, shoot. I see what I did wrong. Dang it. Let's put it all back the way it was. Okay. I had copied this layout. I need to copy this entire side nav container multiple times. Now when there we go. That's a very different look, right? But that is kind of cool, actually. That's actually I like that a little bit more than I expected to. Right? Now, also what's kind of cool, you could actually add, what you probably want to do is you probably want to add links to the SVGs as well, right? That's pretty cool. I think that's pretty slick. Now, one thing we could do is we could take that same background color and apply it to the side nav wrapper as well. So we could probably just do this background color. I'm going to show you guys a trick. I'm going to go class. I'm going to do a comma here, space, and then dot side nav wrapper. It's a little hack. But if you do this, you have to put a comma after. Yeah, so you can exclude the, here actually, without confusing you, I'm going to use a custom CSS selector. I'm going to paste that in there and do dot side nav and side nav wrapper. So I'm now applying this background color to both side nav and side nav wrapper. When you do this, you need to do an official CSS selector where you have classes or dots on everything. Okay. So cool. Let's preview that. We now have our bar back. So it gives us the same look, but when we, oh shoot, it expands it out. Yeah, that's a problem. Drats. That is a problem. I'll have to think about that. How you'd have to completely change the structure of the entire thing to keep the bar, but get these menu items. But that's still pretty cool, right? Where we can get these things kind of independently working and whatnot. I like that. Cool. I hope that was enjoyable. You kind of saw my thought process for that. Don't know, it might have confused some of you, but hopefully, again, we'll review this one really quick. So we created a wrapper, and then this side nav wrapper basically made all of the menu items that's within it fixed to the top left of the browser, right? Then we have individual side nav components, which probably side nav is now, we probably need to name that menu item instead of side nav or something like that. But I was just keeping the same classes. And then this individual component is what animates in and out. And yeah, that's pretty cool. And if you ever wanted, to do different ones of this, I could probably create this one as a template too. I think this is a very interesting layout that I'm sure definitely people would love. Maybe even not for a menu, maybe like a contact us button or something like that, right? I mean, you see all kinds of things. Maybe add some round corners to this, right? So it's pinned to the side and maybe it's a pill shape or something like that. That could totally work, right? Maybe a little smaller. This could be a little big for that use case, but I like this a lot. And you could probably plop them down at the bottom too. Like let's play with that position swatch. If we were to do that, maybe I'm going to take off this height nav, right? Or hold on, we do this. What if I did, there's no vertical alignment in containers. That's in a column. There's an idea. Hold on one second. If I did a one column, and move these here, I go to the one column and do vertical alignment bottom, right? That didn't do what I was hoping it was going to do. All right, we'll scrap that idea. There, but here, let's say if I took out this height nav, right? So I'm just going to put a dash X there, and then we did position bottom 0. That does what I thought it would do. There we go. So now we could have it at the bottom of the page. If it maybe little helper things or contact us or something like that, right? Maybe these launch a light box or do whatever you want, right? Use your imagination. But that's pretty cool. Yeah, cool. Thank you, Blair. Hope you liked that. Could the side nav be vertically centered? Sure. Now that we have, we could do that. So in this position swatch, we would just, hello. We turn off, we want a center origin. So we would do top 50% center origin. I think that's it, right? Oh, wait, hold on. I need to do top 50%. There it goes. But you see, I mean, even without these little menus, I mean, you could strip this down if you just wanted like little icons floating to the side. There you go, right? Without this little hover effect, right? So yeah, in the position swatch, so we just set we want it 50%, and the center origin basically it shifts it here. I'll turn that off, and you'll see what that does. Because 50%. So what when you position something, okay, it's always based on the top left corner of the element that you're positioning. Okay, so the top here, this is exactly where 50% is, right? But I want the center of my element to be at 50%. So that's exactly what that center origin does. Is it goes top 50% and then it shifts it up so that the center is the origin point of our position, right? So that's exactly what that does. Cool. Sweet. Good questions. That bottom feature would be great for social icons. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we could delete a lot of code if you just wanted little boxes with social icons. I mean, that's That's a piece of cake. Here, hold on. Okay, I'm going over, but I think you guys are okay. I'm gonna put this one back up at the top, just so we don't lose it. And let's say I wanted to do social icons really quick. Okay, how would we do that? Okay. Here, I'm actually gonna. We'll use the same page, whatever. Okay, let's add well, one thing you could do is you could do something like a badge if you wanted, right? So you could use a badge, right? And the label, you could put like a font awesome icon in there, but let's say you wanted something maybe a little bit nicer. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's just we'll throw a container on the page. Containers are great for just general little wrappers, okay, around stuff. And then I'm going to throw an SVG inside there. Okay. And, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead. We'll go all out. Let's find an icon. Let's open up icon jar. And, let's find Facebook. Okay, perfect. Here's Facebook. Okay. So I'm going to say copy as formatted SVG code. We're going to paste that in there. Get rid of that XML tag. Boom. There we go. Let's go ahead and customize the fill color to be. I know that's not Facebook blue, but oh, that's close. Okay, so there we go. And let's scale the image. Be like is that like 25 pixels, something like that? That's pretty tiny. Let's do 50, just so it's nice and big. Okay. And then container. Let's go ahead and make this a. We'll set this to auto size again. Okay, so now we have our button. Okay, so really quick, where'd it go? Oh, it's hiding behind the menu. Ha ha ha. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to say hide. I'm just gonna hide that menu really quick. Okay, so it's out of our way. There it is. Okay, so now I have this Facebook logo. Okay. And what I want to do is I want to float it down here on the bottom of my page. Okay. Because right now it's just a part of the content. Okay. I want to float it down here at the bottom. That's actually quite large for a social icon. But let's make that smaller now. 30. That's much better. Okay. So 30. While we're in here, let's do YouTube. Right. We'll go ahead and copy this. Okay. Oops. Did I do that right? Oh, hold on. I don't think I copied that. Right click, save as, formatted code. All right. Delete the XML tag. There we go. There we go. Okay. And this obviously is red for YouTube. And okay, let's do that. Let's see how that looks. All right, cool. 2 icons. Okay. We want to display left and left. Okay. And then I'm going to do something. I'm going to add a display. Actually, you know what? Yeah, we'll keep it like that. It's fine. What you could do is you could put this in a 2-column layout or whatever, right? But so far I've just created 2 icons. Okay, now we want to float those down to the bottom. Okay, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to create a, let's give a class to this container. We'll call it social dash icons, right? And we're going to create a position swatch, and we're going to make this social dash icons. And we want this at the bottom left corner. Oops. Where'd those go? Bottom left. The next one. Social icons. Social icons. Huh. Where did they go? I don't know, George. Where did they go? Oh, there's a div there. That's why it does that. Huh. Where is that? That is really weird. Set it to full width. Well, look at that. I'm sure this is some sort of stupid mistake, right? Hold on, let's. Interesting. I had them set to full width. There they are. Interesting. So I could probably, hold on one second, set this to be oh yes, that makes sense actually. Long story, but that does kind of make sense. All right, we set that to auto. Sorry for that. Cool. So now we have our two icons at the bottom. If we wanted to, we could you could do other things. Like you could add a background color to your icon, right? So if we did something like oh man, let's do this, right? So if we did let's just do icon, did a background color of let's say you wanted black, I guess, something like that. Here, put in that class there, put in that class there. How would that look? I think that might span. No, yeah. So, I mean, obviously black, and then you could add padding. You can make it round. You can make the rounded. Black doesn't look good. I just did that so it stood out, right? But yeah, there you go. Sweet. Oh, you probably want to add links to them, right? So the SVGs, you would then say add link, and then you'd put in your Facebook URL link or whatever, right? So yeah, pretty simple. Sorry for the SVG. I had to set the full width parameter because. So okay, let me explain that. In the SVG, these SVGs don't have explicit sizes set inside the SVG. I guess this is something good to talk about. If you look here, there isn't an explicit width equals so on and so forth, right? So this SVG natively doesn't have a width, right? So it is important that we defined a width. So basically, just by setting it to be full width, It just kind of makes it fit the space. Okay. And then we set a max width setting. I should probably make that full width setting default, actually, to be honest with you. Because I think most SVGs, when you export them from various programs, don't put width or height constraints on your things. So having full width and scale image turned on is a good thing. That's probably what you're going to want most of the time. So there you go. Then you can have a link to that. Right. So yeah, cool. Hopefully that helps, guys. Let me see if there's any other questions. I know we've ran a little bit long. Oh man, I ran almost a half hour over. Oh, everyone says hello, Jacob. Can you make these social media as a template? Oh, sure. I can make these social media icons a template. Sure. Cool. Can you do vertical text in a situation like that? Not sure what vertical text what situation you were speaking of, Andrew. But with that, I think I'm going to call it a quit since we are over a half hour over. Hope you had fun today. I had a good time. I love showing off my stuff and thinking outside the box and doing fun new things. And I've 3 new templates we made today, answered some questions, showed you Columnist. Go get Columnist 2.0 if you don't already have it. I think it's $10. It's a bargain. Great stack. Even if you already owned it, even if you bought it 7 years ago, I don't remember when I released Columnist. It was probably a long time ago. It was probably 7 years ago. Actually, no, maybe it was after Foundation 1. I don't know. Whatever. Doesn't matter when you bought it. It is a free upgrade. But if you don't own it already, go ahead and get it. It's a great stack. Hope you enjoy it. New Columnist swatches are awesome. And hopefully we'll see some of you. We'll be getting a lot of new people out on our Friday Hangouts. Join us out on Fridays, 1:30 p.m. Pacific at Weaverspace/Hangout. Or there's a link if you just go to Weaverspace homepage, there's going to be a link right there, and it'll launch Zoom, and you can go in it and you can chat face to face with me. It's actually totally interactive. It's not like these Facebook lives, or not Facebook, YouTube lives. And cool. Hope you enjoyed this. Take care. As always, I'm going to be starting in April, I'm going to be doing some cool new stuff on Instagram and Facebook. So if you're still around, make sure you follow me on Instagram and or Facebook. Instagram.com/Weaverspace and Facebook.com/Weaverspace. Follow, do all that jazz, and you'll see some cool new stuff coming down the pipe for Foundation 6. I have recruited Elizabeth Martinez. Elizabeth, if you're watching, no stress here, but I'm setting the precedence really high. She's doing some really, really cool stuff for me. And I can't wait to share and show you guys everything we're doing. And take care. So have a wonderful rest of your week. Go out and crush it. Make something great. And we'll see you next week.